Hey, what's up, everyone? My name's Lionel, and I'm your host for LT Productions, and you are watching I Watch You Watch. We are covering Beauty in Black, which is currently streaming on Netflix. This is season 2, and I'm getting into episode 7. As I promised that I would do, at least by this weekend, to finish everything off. I got this episode and the next episode to review, and then we're complete until the mid-season comes back, which will probably be next year. But I appreciate everyone for coming to my channel. Please like this video, and you can also subscribe, and you can leave your comments below. Let's get into this episode. Okay, all right, so this is the aftermath of what just happened at Charles. You know, there was a not a kidnapping, there was a burglary that was supposed to happen. Charles ended up making sure that didn't happen by pow-powing all three of them. At this point, Andy, who's in the car, he escaped since he was the driver. He didn't even come inside or whatnot, but he just drives off. Charles calls Barney, and Barney is not answering and all that good stuff. At this point, Barney's just really sick of Charles and just not receptive. In the time of need, he's not there. I don't blame Barney at all. Of course, Charles is going to blame him for whatever reason. Oh well. Next scene is Roy. He calls Felicia, the one he slept with in the VIP room, and basically calling her his itch. While they're on the phone, he's establishing what they are to each other as far as I need a consistent sex partner, Charles calls while he's talking to her. Roy was like, "What do you want? I need you to come to my place." "What do you mean come to my place?" "Come to your place." He's got to get ready for this meeting. And he said, "Look," and he just starts going off about Kimmy being there, and Charles was like, "No, I was robbed." And then he was like, "Ninja, we're all being robbed," not really catching on as to what Charles is trying to tell him. And basically said, since he's not really getting what Charles is saying, Charles said, "That's okay. We're not doing that." So Roy and Felicia, they talk a little bit more. Of course, she's playing the role of "Yes, Daddy," while he calls her his itch and all that good stuff. Meanwhile, she's at that hotel because they're trying to establish where they're going to meet up. He doesn't know anything about that hotel that all of the trafficked people have to stay in. She was like, "I can come to your place," and you know that's not going to happen. She gets off the phone from him, and then we find out that she's at least having sex with Jackson. And it looks like she's just playing him to get Roy, trying to play Roy to get she gets a call in regards to a couple of I'm trying to think of the YouTube word, of orphan people. Basically, it's going to be about Data and Shake Shake. Horace and Angel. I think Horace ends up calling Angel. Angel can't really hear him clearly, and he says, "I'm on my private plane and all that, headed to get my treatment." And Angel is just all shocked, and he's not shocked, he's all excited hearing all this, and he's telling Horace, "Flip the phone so I can see the plane, or send me some pictures." And Horace was saying, "So you're not going to ask me, am I all right?" And Angel was like, "Well, I do hope that you're getting better and you're getting the treatment. However, I don't really." It's true, because Horace, even though Roy says all of these derogatory, misogynistic, abusive things to his women, you're just like him, or he's just like you. I don't know. You picked this boy up, you wanted him to do some things, and now that he's done it, you now want to romance him by giving him things to treat him a certain way so that he'll stay in your life. He don't know you. You haven't even tried to get to know him. And now you want somebody to care for you in a way that he can't care for you. Let's just ask, you picked up a prostitute. Come on. And Horace does agree. You're right, James ends up giving Angel a credit card that it's exclusive for Angel, or whatever Angel wants to do it, but basically this is his card and he can do what he wants with it. Horace had asked Angel, where's Kimmy at? I've been trying to call her. He said if it was from a private number like you called me from, then she's not going to answer. So then Angel goes to Kimmy's room and tells her, Horace is trying to get a hold of you. Answer the phone when he calls. So Horace calls. And of course he's like, are you ready? I'm like, yeah. She's about to get ready right now as far as get on her clothes. Mentally, are you ready? Yeah. Horace tells her, don't be early. Make them wait for you. As Horace is going on as to how he's actually feeling about this whole situation, Kim is like, you really are excited for what is about to take place with your family. They must have really hurt you. And he says, yeah, you have no clue. If I die tomorrow, I'll die with a smile on my face. Oof. Horace lets Kimmy know that he's going to be tapping into the cameras in the boardroom. I want to see their faces. And then Horace was like, seeing a little reluctancy in Kimmy, he said, I need you to be on your ish in that boardroom. And then he starts to remind her of the stuff that's happened to you. Remember how Roy treated you. Remember what they did to you and all that, your family. And she said, oh, you're really good, because that does amp me up, and now I'm ready to go face these itches. Jules and Traxon, they talk, and they talk about that this is big and Shake. Jules says what he remembers seeing at the club and da-da-da-da-da. They're putting pieces together, and Jules is saying, well, Rain did it. Well, that was pretty professional. How could Rain do this? Do you know who she was with? She was with Alex. Okay, there you go. He's the one with the training and all this with the gun stuff. But Traxon does speak up for Alex, and he said he doesn't think that he would be involved in that type of stuff. Anyways, Jules says, find that girl, the younger girl, Adelaide, I think was her name. Roy and Felicia. What's up with that? Oh, because Julius finds out about Roy being at the club. And basically getting a little attached to Felicia. Traxon calls Alex and say, hey, Julius is on your trail in regards to the whole situation. And Alex was like, look, please make sure that Jules knows that I am loyal to them. No, there's no way I would have done that, even though he did. Rain and Angel and Sylvie. Okay. Kimmy goes to the job, or at least get in the car to go to a Beauty in Black. And of course, it was like, you got this itch, look. Rome wasn't built in a day. Of course, we're going to get that type of talk. But anyways, Rain is going to go back to sleep. Sylvie wants to go out to the barn, where all the horses and all that good stuff. And Rain is like, look, how can I really rest peacefully if knowing that you're out doing this and all that? Angel volunteers to take her around so she can go on and go to sleep. Then, all right, at the office, Norman and Olivia, they talk. They're just talking about, this whole new wife situation and da-da-da-da-da. Norman's always having these conversations on, like, he knows what's going on with Olivia. And they start talking about how Olivia is probably schemed in regards to this whole cancer situation with the lawsuit and stuff. And Olivia said, I can't give cancer to people. There's no way I would do that. Da-da-da-da-da. Are you in on it? He's like, no. Blah, 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 blah. The Norman is starting to have the wheels swirl in his head about what Horace got going on. Because he's trying to understand why did he marry Kimmy? But he's been worried so much about the Latin guy, Angel. And then Olivia's like, well, I know that he loves Latin women. And he's like, no, this time it was a guy. And I'm not really buying the whole story about him stealing his watch. But then Norman says, oh, well, he ended up pow-powing Angel yesterday. Olivia said he did? Yeah, so that's over. So you're quite warm in this whole situation, Norman, if you want to know what's really been going on with your brother. I know Norman has up and up, but I know that there's got to be some type of conflict against the battle against the Titans. Yes, Norman has the upper hand, but I'm sure they're trying to find some ways so they can steal back their power. Angel and Sylvie, they're talking a little bit, and it's brought up about how Angel's around Horace and stuff. Like, well, you're having sex with this man to get all this stuff. And Angel was like, whoa, 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 I'm not doing that. And who told you that? You know, Kimmy did. He said, all I did is just really dance for him a couple times. That's all. Da, 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 da. At that point, they kind of separated because he wasn't really on the ish of what Sylvie was saying. Sylvie met up with Glenn. He's the ranch handler and all that. We find out that Jules is Glenn's dad. I said, wait, what? What? We knew about the daughter. So you got somebody who's working honestly, trying to keep him away from knowing what you got going on. Basically, it looks like. As long as he's in Indiana handling the ranch, then you're okay. Because he can't be caught up in whatever's going on in Chicago. That's some crazy stuff. Sylvie wants to ride some of the horses. And then he says, I'll be glad to teach you how to ride. I said, Lord. I said, I caught that little flirtatious thing going on. And we're going to find out how flirtatious he really is a little bit later. Roy and Jules. They talk a little bit. I forgot where they're at now. Roy and Jules do talk a little bit about what he's got going on. Going back to the club. Roy has gone on as far as going back to the club and all that. Don't be doing that. And you wanting to be with Felicia. And he said that I want you to make it happen that Felicia becomes my assistant over here. What for? All you're doing this is just show some type of revenge against your dad. And who's going to really take you serious in all of that? And then, I think this is Mallory. Mallory came in, and whatever. Roy said make it happen. And then Roy has to remind Jules, remember who you're working for. Of course, they love throwing that around, and they don't even have much power whatsoever. Angel. He goes out to the car deck and sees all of these cars. He's just amazed by it. And he's going to be taking out I call it a white Lamborghini. I don't know if that's what it is, but it's a white sports car. Then Angel gets into this tirade of calling James all of these ninjas. Called him a butler ninja, security ninja, called it to the security dude. And then, but Butler was for James. And then James was like, I'm James. And then he said, okay, nigga. Ooh, I said it on here. My bad. Ninja James. A lot of people weren't like feeling that online from what I saw. How did you guys feel about that? I don't know how I feel about it. I got a laugh out of it, but that's a lot of ninjas. You're in Chicago though. It's just like, there is stuff that they just say. I don't know if it's that, but you know, I don't know. Horace. Okay, so on her way to the office, Horace talks with Kimmy again. Says, I don't really trust Mallory. And Horace says that that's good to know. She plays all the sides to get what she wants. So Horace knows who she is. I guess they just let her play for whatever reason, but all these other people are just so out of the loop and just so... She's the daughter-in-law. Okay, so at the office, yet again, Mallory's looking for Jules. And she wants to know what is up with all these drivers that you're holding. Oh, where is Jillian and Calvin at? And he said that Roy had him get rid of both of them. I said, wow. Well, we know Calvin, where he's at. Some woman named Daria, she's from Detroit, found him, and he's gone to where he actually belongs. Daria from Detroit is a TV series on BET+. They're currently filming their second season. They may be done. But anyways, that's my show. And you can actually see the playlist of me reviewing it last year. So go through my playlist. Daria, D-I-A-R-R-A, from Detroit. Check it out. He was like, well, the driver that you hired seems like he just showers in ASS juice. I said, Lord. Y'all, you are crazy, Miss Ma'am. Mallory goes into her office and talks with Barney. Mallory's ready to get this on the road, you know. Barney was like, how are you going to handle this as far as Kimmy being in the office? She said that I'm going to play this well. I'm going to be the sweet Mallory up front. while vomiting in my mouth in regards to all of this. Then she said, well, you know that she had went to the boutique and she spent over $124K? And I'm sure the stuff that she's got on don't even look right. Just being classist and elitist. So Varney says that there's another email that's been sent out by Horace that everyone needs to greet Kimmy when she comes off the elevator. So all the employees are gathered around in the lobby waiting for Kimmy to come in. And Mallory's like, look, I didn't get all that. What is she so special for? It's a new day, Mal. Oh, Mal, you got your feelings hurt. Oh, there's going to be a lot going on between Mallory and Kimmy. I can't wait till we get to that part because, I mean, they're the ones that are the focal points in any of these promotions or flyers that are sent out, you know. So I'm ready to see what that's all about. I think Mallory had said you want to do something for her, and she was like, no. Somehow it got on the subject of Roy. And Roy is out there. And Mallory said, you know, the only way that Roy will stop is if you stop it. And Varney says, you know, I'm the student. Mallory said, I'll remember that. So what's going to happen, Mallory's going to start using Varney after helping him get Roy off of his back. I can tell that that's going to happen. Varney said, you know, shall we go out into the lobby to greet your new mother-in-law? I'm going to show you how to deal with the trash in the most polite way. I said, Lord Jesus. Varney said, you know, are you sure you want to do this? Mal said, this is my ish. So, yeah, game on. If she wants to play with the big dogs, she needs to bring her best. And I'm going to sit here and make her, she said, I'm going to sit here and make her wait. Okay, Mallory. Rain wakes up and she wants to know where Sylvie is. James says that Sylvie is out on the ranch with the barn and Angel went shopping. At that point, Rain panics. We'll get back to her in just a second. Kimmy finally makes it to the office and she makes her entrance off of the elevator and everyone claps for her. Mallory personally greets her, and let me just tell you, Mallory is bad in this scene. I know she wanted to show up Kimmy, but Kimmy was not showing up at all. So then Mallory says that we're all so glad that you could join us. And Kimmy said, join me? I came to lead you. I said that is the best line off this whole mid-season. This first half. I said, I came to lead you. And then Mallory says, yes. When she said join you, yes. And then Kimmy was like, I can lead you. That's what it was. Sorry about that. And then Mallory introduces everyone and says, hey, this is Kimmy. And then Kimmy says, yes, my name is Kimmy. But you all will address me as Mrs. Beller. Okay, Kimmy. Mallory says, okay, so we can go into the boardroom. And Kimmy says, no, I want him. I want to go see my office. Okay, I can take you there. I want him, meaning Roy. So Roy does it, So then Mallory and Jules, they meet up over there just to start talking and hissing. They basically did say that Kimmy's a piece of work, but Mallory says that my specialty is breaking itches down. So, okay, Mallory. Back at Horace's place, Rain goes to the Staples and sees that Glenn and Sylvie are having sex. Rain takes it as that this guy is assaulting her. Rain pulls Glenn off of Sylvie, and then she gets the, that hay fork thing, and she's trying to get Glenn to back up as if he was a real threat to her. And they was like, whoa, what's going on? Well, she ended up causing Glenn to go over and fall to the ground. And he was on the second story of this barn, and he lands, I guess face down or whatever. He lands on the ground. So that was the end of the episode. Sorry for the delay. I was just trying to make sure I said everything right that was in the notes. But anyways, that's the cliffhanger that we're getting for the next episode. Rain, you did overreact. And we're gonna find out how much she overreacted in that moment. We heard the sex noise and all that. I knew what Glenn was up to. And I don't know why Glenn decided to go with that young girl. But we don't know how young Glenn is. So, but anyways, that's all I got. You know, let me know what your thoughts of for this episode. Kimmy's not playing. Mallory thinks that she's not playing. Olivia thinks she's not playing. It's fun, and it gets more exciting as to what Kimmy's got planned for them in the next episode. So hurry, come on back. Click on over to episode 8 after this. But I thank you for coming. Like this video, subscribe, and leave your comments below. And until the next one, peace.